Hey, what's up, dudes? We're over here at Erin's house with her Crust Bombora box. So, Erin, why don't you tell us about this bike? What is it besides the Crust Bombora?
I feel like first I should make a disclaimer to the audience.
All right, the vast audience that is watching this live stream.
That I have never gone live before, and I'm not 100% comfortable with it.
Ah, all right.
Yeah, this is my new bike frame. As Tim mentioned, it's a Crust Bombora. I have a road bike that I love and I ride a lot.
What's your road bike?
It's a Surly Pacer. I bought it from a friend. But it's awesome and it's the perfect road bike for me. But I tend to try to ride it like it's not a road bike. So, when we go bikepacking, I load it up and I always have like a lot of bags on it and there's a basket on it now. And it's pretty road bikey. So for longer distances or for bikepacking loaded, it's, not ideal. Definitely works, but not ideal. And my route options or ride options are kind of limited because it's road bike. So I decided I wanted to expand my bicycle horizons and get something that was a little more all-purpose and something that was a little better suited for bikepacking.
So, with all the gravel bikes that are out there, what would make you choose a Crust Bombora? The brand, the bike?
Early on, I think Brad brought it up and recommended it, and I took a look at it, and I was initially smitten.
Because the color, or?
Yes, largely because of the color and because it mentions mermaids. And then I looked at some other options, and it wasn't available when I started looking, which was probably late April, May-ish. And it was, so primarily Crest sells frames, so the price point was a little higher than what I was planning, like for the price and just the frame. So I was looking at some other options and thought I had settled on something else. And then learned more about Crust. They're a really small business, owned by a husband and wife team. So as far as I know, the only bicycle company that is even partially owned by a woman. Over the summer, with the combination of social disruptions that we were experiencing and kind of investing more thought into, I realized that that was the kind of business I wanted to support with my bicycle dollars. So I think at that time they estimated that it was going to be available at the end of August, and I was like, oh, that's great. It'll be like a birthday present for myself.
Yeah, we thought we were going to be able to get it built up and you'd get some summer gravel riding because once the temperature drops, Erin doesn't do a lot of bike riding.
No, I'm cold, hence why I wear a scarf in the house. And then it was delayed until October, I believe, and I was like, okay, that's fine. That just gives me a little more time to get my money in order, and then it's delayed till November, and that was also fine. And
it literally came today, right?
Yes, it literally came today. It literally went on sale on Monday. I went to the page pretty much twice a day.
Since?
I visited it at least once a day, I would say. Even in October to make sure it still said that they were planning to have them back in stock in November. And then once November hit, I would say that I, averaged twice a day. And then a friend of mine who owns a bike shop up in Cleveland, who's a Crust dealer, messaged me and said he had received an email from them saying that they weren't going to be able to sell to dealers on this round. And, told me I should keep an eye on it so I could get it myself. And that, to me, indicated that things were probably getting closer. And I think that was on Monday morning. Mm-hmm. And so I think I refreshed that page, I don't know how many times before then, but I was actually in a work virtual conference on Monday afternoon, and was not necessarily paying as much attention as I should have been, and refreshed the page, and it was available, and so I immediately bought it, and I had also signed up for emails for them to notify me, which I hadn't seen. I just refreshed the page. But from the time I got that email to the time that my size sold out was somewhere around half an hour. I think it was a little less.
And now they're sold out of the 3 small sizes, right?
Yeah, they sold out of the smalls first, and then extra smalls, and I think I checked today and the mediums were sold out as well.
Yeah, I think they only have the large. Do they have an extra? I can't remember. I looked.
I think they had large and extra large, and they didn't do any extra larges this time.
And I think they still have those available, though. They did last time I checked.
Yeah.
This morning. But
so
yeah, your obsessive refreshing paid off because you would have missed it. Yeah.
Yes.
Or you might have missed it if you would have had a half hour from the email you said.
Yeah. So I might have been okay even if I hadn't been distracting myself from the conference. But yeah. So
what do you say? You want to get into it and we could talk about it more once we get a look at it? I love the tape here. I'll zoom in on this. It says, congratulations, you have great taste.
And I do.
What are you drinking?
A Rogue Bat Squash. A hazy India Pale Ale.
I've got a Vlad from Royal Docks in Canton Imperial Stout. Oh, this is 13%? Well, here we go.
That's why I always ask you if you're raging when you're drinking it. Okay. We did tell them that this was just a frame in the box, right? People aren't expecting a whole bicycle to magically appear.
Yeah, it's just a frame. I've never had a bike shipped to me, and I've never just bought a frame. The only new bike I bought, I talked about this on Tuesday, was my 2003 Trek mountain bike, but it was a built-up bike I walked out of the shop with, so it's kind of cool.
I'll open that second. I feel like it's Christmas. Everybody's watching me open my boxes.
There we go. You trying to build a blow house? Ooh, it looks pretty.
So anybody who is unfamiliar with the Bombora now sees the beautiful color that it is.
What do they position it as? A bikepacking gravel bike? What do they call it? Oh, the logo's great.
I don't remember. I can pull it up and read it.
Okay.
Okay.
One more.
Oh. So here here we are.
Ooh, bring it over here. Bring it a little closer. Whoops. Let me adjust our settings here. It's a little bright. Ooh, that's nice. Let's see the head badge. Whoops, it's Erin's face.
Hey, don't show people that.
What is on the seat tube? What's the art?
It's a mermaid. And then down here it says, where did all the mermaids go?
What's on the bottom of the bottom bracket shell?
Some shoes.
Some shoes? Oh, nice.
Can you see the shoes?
Let's see if we can tilt it towards me. The full frame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
Wow, a lot of,
yes.
what do you call them? Brazons?
Yes, a lot of brazons.
Triple on the down tube. Is there any on the top? Yeah, no, that's fine. I don't like top tube bags anyway.
This is the description.
Oh. Yes, so it says the Bombora is a slim down Evasion, which is another one of their frames. Can I back up now? I feel extra awkward being this close. I'm backing up. Oh, I didn't open that box.
I think you got a fork too. Fork through.
So it says the Bombora is a slim down Evasion that can take a road crank. Still has all the brazons for racks and such. So you can get off on a fun multi-day trip or work so you have money to buy all the bike stuff. So it has an updated fork crown with brazons on the top. So we didn't talk about why my master plan as far as building the bike.
So we have our friend Ben from Columbus said, "Let me know what parts you need, Benny."
Sure.
So yeah, we do have.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
So because of COVID, there was, a bike boom. And that coupled with like some introspection about my experience in the world and other people's experience in the world. And then somehow ending up relating to cycling, I realized many things. One, I realized that I would have never started cycling if it weren't for Tim. Before dating Tim, I had ridden bicycles once as an adult, which was a bike share in Montreal. And I would say that I never thought about riding bicycles other than that either. It certainly, if I was traveling in a city, I might have considered like a bike share, but I would never have like considered it as like a hobby. And so I was thinking a lot about why that is. And I think that a lot of it is because of the way the popular representation of cyclists. It's generally the older white men in kits on bikes that I don't find aesthetically pleasing. So there was really nothing that would have initially engaged me. But obviously riding with Tim and our friends is a whole different experience. Most of us wear regular clothes. It's not fancy carbon bikes that I think are ugly. But over the 3 years that I've been doing it, I've really obviously grown to love it because I've made a rather significant investment. I think other than this bike, the only times that I have spent more money than this in one time is putting a down payment on a car or buying this house that we're in right now. So yeah, just thinking about like how cycling could and should be more inclusive, and then also thinking about how I have an ongoing level of discomfort in a lot of ways. So I very rarely ride on the roads unless I'm with Tim or Ben or someone else that I really trust. I do depending on the day and time and where I'm going. Think about the fact that I'm a woman alone. And just for my psychology, my kind of lack of understanding of how I know how the bicycle works operationally, right? Like, I can ride it. But I have a deeper level of confidence when I understand the behind the scenes. So I decided that it would be confidence building and empowering for me to tackle building the bicycle myself.
So you do have some components, right?
Yes. So Ben, what do I have?
You have crank.
Go get on there.
Crank, chain ring. What else? Derailleur.
So what is the group set that she has?
SRAM Apex 1. So so the levers, brake levers, shift levers. You're doing 1x, so so just the rear derailleur.
Does she have the rings? Does it have the rings and crankset, or?
Yes.
What
It has a ring. I think it's on its stock. Maybe a 38 or a 40.
It said the max on this bike is a 44.
Yeah.
That it can take.
It came off of a, what was it? All City Cross bike. Somebody upgraded one out of the box. So I think that's it for right now.
Yeah,
maybe a bottom bracket. Forget if you got one or not. But
I don't remember.
So the big decisions are wheels, obviously the bars, stem, headset. I know Crust, they sell headsets on this website too. What's let's see, Rod Ford said long live 1 1/8. So that's about that'd be the headset, right?
yeah, the Steer 2.
Steer 2.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Look at that. I got the fork has that double, whatever you call it, double crown.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, so one of the big debates, does your,
Oh, yeah.
make that come back.
One of the big.
I also find Crust's irreverence very charming. And so at the end of the description, they share a bunch of specs, and at the end of the description, they say, designed around a 1x, a double will work, but you're on your own to figure it out. Which, if I had decided to go with a double, I'm sure that between Tim and Ben and Otis and Yonda at Dirty River, we would have figured it out. But I did decide to go with 1x. It was
The Devil's Drivetrain.
yes, Tim thinks it's the Devil's Drivetrain. But Ben was kind enough to let me borrow his Girl Monsoon, which has an Apex 1 on it, to make sure that I enjoyed that experience before I committed to it. So
Ooh,
here's the
beautiful.
fork. Beautiful fork. So yeah.
They put they come with that long of a steer?
Apparently, yes.
I wonder why. It's a lot of metal.
Very long.
I mean, that's extremely long. And so is that the through axle on the ground, Ben?
This is the front, yeah. The rear is heavy.
Oh, it's
yeah, kind of cool, like the little mushroom.
But not in focus.
But yeah, pretty much get to pick a lot of parts still. Seat posts, stem,
Yeah.
all the fun stuff. Brakes. That'll be fun to build it up.
Yeah,
That's how you want to.
Oh, so. Yeah, one of the other things we were talking too about how since you spent a lot of your budget that you had on the frame set, so maybe to try and find some used wheels for now, and that could be something that down the road. The best thing about steel is it's a forever bike that you can continually upgrade
Yeah.
as you want to and change things. Wasn't that, someone said, wasn't that a Natalie Cole song? I don't know what reference we said that sounded like the Natalie Cole song. Not that from Columbus.
Probably something dumb I said. Yeah. What else? What else?
So we have a, Patrick says, I'm tempted to frame swap moving parts from an all-city Macho Man to a Crust Evasion, which would allow for fatter tires. Anyone have opinions on whether that's really an upgrade or just a lateral swap? Ben, do you have an opinion on Macho Man to an Evasion? The Macho Man is the, which one is that in their lineup? I know the name, but who has one of our, out of our brothers? Someone?
Otis had one for a while. That dark green sparkly bike. Flat bar Macho Man.
You know who might have a good opinion on that is Alex at Joy Machines. Because doesn't he ride an Evasion?
He has a lightning bolt, doesn't he?
Oh. Oh, I think he got. Did he do the Evasion Light for his
For
wife?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he is a Crust dealer and an All City dealer, so he's probably very familiar with both of those, and
What is it?
would have an opinion, although I don't know what it would be.
Do you guys know the difference between the Evasion and the Bombora? So the Evasion is a more of a bikepacking bike than this, or?
Let me pull it up because I honestly have because they got Evasions before these were coming in, and when they had those to sell, I was like, oh, maybe I should get that instead. But then I read it again and was like, no, that's not what I want. I want the
What kind of bike is the Macho Man? Like, what is it? What's the difference between that and the Monsoon?
The Macho Man, they kind of, at least the one that Otis got, they marketed more towards like a commuter type bike.
Mm.
But I mean, brand wise, quality wise, they seem like very similar. I think a lot of it's really just, personal preference.
And then this will clear 2.1s, right? I believe 2.1 inch tires.
The Bombora,
Yeah.
27.5, 2.1.
It says clearance for 650B, 2.2 to 2.3, depending on the rim tire combo.
That's the Evasion?
No, that's the Bombora.
Oh, really?
Oops.
27.5s, is that the same as 650B?
Yeah.
Okay, they were using 27.5 when I was looking at the website tonight, and I was a little confused by that number because when I think 27, I think vintage American road bikes that had the 27.1,
Yeah. Same with
27 and a quarter.
like 700C and 29. It's the same
Oh, so a 29 mountain bike, that rim is the same
diameter.
diameter. as
Typically, the 29ers are like wider, like tire wise, but yeah, it just makes it more confusing.
So I actually think that maybe I just decided on this one because I liked the color better. Because it does, I think it was the Romancer that they had also said, I think they got them with these, that I was like, oh, maybe I should get that. But this says that the Evasion is designed for dirt touring and bikepacking and all around getting loose. It's a randonneur bike on steroids. The satanic rando, if you will.
Broadford just said, I think Hunt 650 wheels are holding up pretty good and are a good weight for 450. We just watched are those the ones he reviewed, Russ on Pathless Pedal reviewed not too long
Did
ago?
Hunt wheels?
Yeah.
Is up?
Hunt, yeah. Yeah, he gave those a really good review for the price, you know what I mean? Aren't they basically, they come out of the same factory as a lot of the fancier rims and they're just
Yeah, I don't know.
same, carbon, whatever layup, and they just sell a little cheaper, right? Not as fancy of a brand. I don't know. Don't quote me on any of that.
I don't do that. Do you want to get down?
So he says Macho Man was sold as, commuter cyclocross bike according to All City. His max is out at 650B by 42.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is Erin's new kitten, the Bean.
Her name's Mrs. Fluffy Sugarbottom.
The Bean, aka the Bean. She's at least part Siamese, if not all, so she's very noisy.
Very goofy.
Yeah, the Hunt wheels for $450 to get carbon wheels at that price would be a great.
Yeah, that price, I think, if the reviews are good and seems like
Oh.
Yeah. How long have you been riding them for, Broadford? How long have you been riding those Hunt 650s? Put the fork through there. Let's take a look at it. I mean, I know it's not going to stay, but that is a crazy. I mean, maybe they're all like that. I would have no idea. But you can let it slide down. When you guys get bikes in the shop, it's just a frame. Does the steer like that long?
It depends on the brand. Like, usually they're not quite this long,
Yeah.
but yeah, Surly bikes, they send all their forks uncut like this, which is kind of nice. You can cut it down to exactly how you want, or leave it a little long and cut it down as you go.
Yeah, it's the interesting thing, since I'm almost all old school except for my Rowley, I'm so used to the quill stem, which I could adjust as I want. Like, I could change my mind before I go out for a ride and adjust the stem, but you're really locked in with threadless.
Yeah,
Once you
kinda.
decide.
Like, they do different lengths and angles, like, so you can play around with that. But,
Scared the Bean.
Did the Bean do that?
Nah, the Bean didn't do that, but she's definitely scared.
yeah.
So you could play, but you just don't want, you want to keep it a little on the long side, right? Because once you go short, you're...
Yeah, you don't want to go too short right off the bat.
I thought the crowd would want to see the crowd. What's our crowd, babe?
Oh, the other
Yeah.
cat?
But I wanted to know how big our crowd is.
Oh, it's
Gotta be.
massive. I mean, it's
So small, so I know.
this is probably the biggest thing on YouTube right now.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm sure, I bet Casey Neistat and Marquez Brownlee are all watching.
All the fans.
Yeah, all the fans.
Smokey is not as fearless as Fluffs. But I love her.
Someone said, how can you repurpose the chopped off bit of this? They're right, like this, need to use it for something. There's so much metal there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yonda
bingo.
has been saving all the bits that we cut off. I forget what for.
I think
But
Mike
he's-
Maris should make a
We have
bike bit sculpture.
Yeah, we have a friend who's a metal sculptor.
Sculpturist?
Sculptor, yeah.
Yes.
Sculptor artist. Metal sculptor artist, yeah.
Metal Master.
Don't squash the bean. That's amazing. What is this?
Oh, that wasn't there before it fell. That
The
looks
whole
like
back
it's
of the
probably
phone.
for internal routed.
Oh, yeah, so the routing could come out down to
Yeah.
the... No, wait, because the brake's on the other side.
Oh. I'm not sure.
Is that another thing I read about this bike? The brakes are different? It's the two different, like a flat mount versus what are the two standards?
Yeah.
Post yeah. IS.
So this is what I have, I think, on my Rowley. Ben actually just got some Hall Components brakes. Are you putting that on your Monsoon?
I'm not sure. I got them.
Dynamo. It's for the Dynamo.
Oh, that makes sense. I got them for long term for my Salsa Storm Chaser, which I don't have built up yet, but
That's that single speed?
Yeah.
Salsa. Yeah.
I plan on trying to run it fixed first, so I'm gonna go no brakes.
No brakes?
Bean's over there bopping Smokey on the head.
Let's see, I think I got a...
Do you have plans for other parts, like whenever in the future, like, you know,
What?
just like specific things that you eventually want to know you want to do, or just kind of feel it out as you go?
I'm just gonna feel it out as I go. I mean, as Tim and Ben know, I was like really into it and like made them talk about it all the time for a while, and then it was so far off and like couldn't really make any moves without knowing for sure that I would have the frame, and also the bike boom meant that there were a lot of parts scarce. So, you know, deciding on a certain component felt like a risk because by the time I actually needed it, it might not be available. So now that I have this in hand,
Start diving a little deeper.
yeah. So I'm also very excited because my friend Albert said that he has a bike stand that I can borrow while I build this.
And he also bought you a whole tool set.
Yeah, for my birthday, he got me tools. But I had actually been doing this like logistical Tetris in my head of like, how can I build this at home, or am I going to be like obligated to like spend a lot of time in Tim's basement? Which, you know, if you have tuned in previously, you may have seen Tim's basement. So it's a fun basement. I just don't really like to leave the house, and yeah, things that require me to leave the house tend to get backburnered.
I just got a question, sorry.
Yes.
So, did you decide on handlebars? Have you tried any handlebars? Do you want them flared? Do you want them straight?
The handlebar thing.
This question came in a text, not in the group chat. So
Oh.
just so the people in the group chat know I'm not making that up.
Okay. I have not decided on handlebars. I think that's probably going to be one of the hardest decisions for a couple reasons. I do want drops. That much I know. Obvi. Is there going to be a problem with those cords if they get more rambunctious? I mean, that cord is entirely wrapped around the one cap. But I have relatively narrow shoulders, and I have a problem with my wrists. So I managed. I think it's gotten better since I've started wearing padded gloves, but it wasn't this past summer, but the summer before that, I didn't realize I had a problem until I actually kind of lost a lot of usability in like my ring and pinky fingers on both hands. So I couldn't hold dishes to wash them. I couldn't shift gears on the bicycle. They were numb all the time. So, you know, there are certainly ways that I could improve my, you know, like core strength to avoid that as well. But, yeah, I think I'm going to be very nervous in particular when picking out bars. The bars on your Gorilla Monsoon are flared, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I did like those because of the like additional stability. I'm just worried about, cause I don't think I really went on any like super long rides on those, and it wasn't like I had the bike for a couple weeks and rode it for a couple weeks. So like over the course of a season, I don't know what kind of impact that would have.
Yeah, those handlebars are salsa cowbells?
Salsa cabo?
Cow chippers.
Cow chippers, yeah. And so
they're a little wide for me too, so they're very comfortable bars, but yeah, something a little more narrow, I think, would probably suit you a lot better.
And then also the other thing you're talking about with your hands hurting and stuff, her road bike is a Surly Pacer.
Oh, yeah.
So it's in a pretty slam position. Like
Yeah.
It's a pretty aggressive position bike. That's another thing we were talking about when Erin was buying this bike. We were talking about how she would have a more laid back geometry for, there's times when we go and hit the pavement and we do want to ride fast still, but and you want to be aero and in an aero position and all that. But there are definitely times when you want to be a little more upright and a little more comfortable. That's why I find with having the sciatica I had in my bad back, like I rode my gravel bike way more this summer because of the laid back geometry. So what else component wise then? So the wheel decision, the bar decision, stem length,
Yeah,
seat, saddle. Do you think you'll go with another Brooks?
I have to say, I love my Brooks. I had zero discomfort, like, straight away. Like, I was never uncomfortable on it. Background on that, I was never, ever, the saddle that I have, was just something that Otis had that he put on when I got the Surly, and he did a little bit of tuning up. So I don't even know what it is. And it was fine. And then last year when we rode the Ohio to Erie for the first time,
four days bikepacking, right?
Yes. I experienced some saddle soreness and road rash for the first time. And that was, I don't think it was solely related to my saddle, but that was the first time that, like, my saddle was on my radar.
Yeah. So you're running a cutout B17, right?
Mm-hmm. So I do love it, but my best friend Colleen, who rides a lot as well, has and I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation of this, a Selly Anatomica. Is that what they're called?
Selly, yeah, that.
Ben Shrug basically said close enough. And she loves it, so I'm considering doing that as well.
Here's a question for you. Is that an MK Jemison trilogy in a single volume?
It is, yes. So slight note on the books. I largely don't read actual books anymore. I read a lot of books, but they're mostly on my Kindle. But there are still books that I am emotionally attached to as physical objects. And so I will literally buy a physical copy of a book, never read it, and put it on the shelf and read the electronic version. I know that that's weird and probably materialistic in some way, but books, in case you can't tell, are one of my favorite, like, physical objects. So.
Nice.
Long. That was a long yes.
A good spot.
So I've become really, maybe you know this stuff, Ben, it doesn't mean anything to me. I've become really fond of the On One Midge and also the Ritchie Venture Max, both seriously flared and help a lot with discomfort, so I'm guessing those are bars.
Yes. I don't know about the On One, but the Venture Max actually rode those last summer.
You had them?
Yeah. Ritchie Venture Max. The only thing, I love the shape and the drop, and they're super comfortable, but they have a little, like, ergo bump on the drops.
Oh,
and
yeah.
for my hands and how I ride, it didn't fit right. Like, if it didn't have that little ergo bump, I would have really loved them. But, yeah, I've heard other people say they really do like that ergo bump in there.
I have on my Trek 1500, my aluminum road bike, which is just my trainer bike now, has that bump, and it works for me really well too.
Yeah.
I don't find that, when I rode it on the road, I don't find that I ride in the drops very much on the trainer, because obviously there's no reason to, unless I'm really just trying to, just having fun and getting into a race and simulating it, but it's not, definitely not necessary to be down on the drops on a trainer.
No, it's not.
Yeah, those bars, for some reason, like, at least with my hands, it wasn't in the exact like right spot. Like the bump was hitting like down on like the side of my hand instead of like in my actual grip.
And you have wrist issues because Ben got smashed into by a car once.
Yeah.
Does your wrist still hurt you on long runs?
Not especially now.
No, it's fine.
Every once in a while it'll start to feel weird, but yeah.
So this view, by the way, is my webcam, and that's why the quality goes down dramatically. I did bring this new fancy light I built, which is a triangle.
Do you want to
light,
ask
so
the
it's some good
people
lighting.
what they think of my whitewashed fireplace? What? I should ask the people? Just wondering if, I know we're talking about bikes and whatever.
Oh, Erin whitewashed her fireplace there behind us.
Yeah.
Oh.
'Cause it was red brick originally, right?
Yes.
Very loud and gaudy.
Yes. And when I moved in this house, the walls were like this burnt orange color. It was like the 70s in here. But then I painted them gray, and I still don't really like the brick color.
What about that color?
But now I'm trying to figure out. I still think that natural sandstone is problematic, so I'm considering whitewashing that as well.
Mm.
Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments.
Yeah. What kind of brakes are going on? Hydro or mechanical? I'm afraid of hydro. I need a solid thing. Personally, too, I don't like the idea of hydro because if you're out riding and something happens, right, you're screwed.
Yeah, I like mechanical just as far as working on them. For me, like I'm still pretty novice, but mechanical seems a lot easier.
Especially we're talking about like post pandemic flying out. We have that guy we were talking about earlier, a friend who's the sculptor artist has moved to LA. We'd love to fly out with our bikes and ride with them. To me, that whole I would be really nervous, worried about hydraulic brake lines and all that stuff and packing the bike up. People say when they ride them though, they love them. Like,
They are noticeably grippier, but I think a nice set of mechanical brakes is.
yeah, the way I'm not crazy about the ones on my rally. They're definitely better than my rim brakes on any bike, but they're good enough. I would like to eventually save money and get the what are those called? The
Clampers?
Clampers, clampers, because they're aesthetically cool, but they're also really easy to work on. They're kind of like forever brakes. You could fix them. So, but they're what, $250?
Something,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're expensive. I think maybe I'll buy a front one first, and then down the road buy a rear one.
So I feel like there are a lot of things that I don't necessarily have an opinion on, like brakes. I mean, from what I know, which is very little, just from hearing conversations, I would say that I'm definitely going mechanical. Also because like part of this is meant to be like a learning experience for me, and so I just think that would be better. But I've only ever, I guess I've ridden 3 bikes, including Ben's, but I've never had disc brakes.
Yeah, so she has an Ultegra group set on the Pacer, so 9-speed, but still decent rim brakes, Ultegras. But then her other bike is a mid-80s Schwinn, so it's some kind of mid-low level Shimano group set. So
yeah, but I'm a relatively cautious rider in a lot of ways, unless I really low blood sugar and I zone out and then I run into or over things.
yes,
but I can't say I've ever been my brakes should have been working better. You know what I mean?
You've never been in that situation, yeah. So it'll be a little different once we get off road and going down a gravel descent, and maybe you're going to lock up the rear and let it skid. That's something you've just never done.
Yeah. The only time I've ever slammed on my brakes was when that child ran in front of me coming back from Kent, and
oh yeah.
I hope that child is emotionally okay. Yeah, and then I think that the little bit of gravel riding I did on Ben's bike, I still didn't know how to use them to be able to necessarily know anything about them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't notice the difference until you start to. I mean, and we don't do any crazy. We're here in Akron. We have steep hills and stuff, but we're not doing long mountain descents. So it's like you need decent. I mean, you need decent brakes. But even on my vintage bikes, like
Yeah.
I have some pretty crappy brakes on a few of my bikes, and I don't know. It doesn't really.
I'm a very slow descender, so.
So is he.
What? Well, yeah.
I'm not very.
Well, I'll tell you what. When we were riding Black Fork, which was a gravel, a 66-mile gravel race, in
Which way are you pointing? That way?
yeah. So be careful. There's a lot of cords that way. Why don't you just come around here?
Yeah, I have a question for Erin.
Well, can I get a beer first?
Yeah, grab me one too while you're up.
Do you need another beer?
Oh!
Do you need a beer?
No, I just got one.
Yeah, so if I'm comfortable with the descent, like my local descents, like there's a couple, I live in Cuyahoga Falls, so no matter where I go, I'm almost always going through the Cuyahoga Valley. So the descents I ride all the time, I'm totally comfortable with. I'll lay off the brakes, I'll get going really fast. But I've noticed above 35 miles per hour, I'm starting to tap the brakes. That's about my
Yeah.
comfort level.
I get sketched out on those.
And then at Black Fork, which I was saying, which is was a some pretty gnarly, super steep climbs, super steep descents on gravel, which gravel descending. We ride gravel around here, like what I like to call the industrial gravel thing. But there's none of those super crazy descents. Like, and even if it's like a little mountain bike type courses we find, roads, dirt trails we find, they're short enough. And at Black Fork, I was getting scared. I was like, definitely another one of these, pass out.
Well, you should have brought your own beer.
But yeah, I was definitely, pulsing the brakes a ton. And Ben was just all of a sudden bombing these hills like he didn't care anymore.
The first few I was sketched out on, but for some reason, a little bit of a wider tire gives you more confidence too. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was those roads down there a little bit rough.
They're nuts. And it's funny because I was so slow at descending that I was riding with people who were way slower than me, just more competent gravel riders. So it was kind of funny because then I'd start to climb and I would just be passing everyone around me. I was just a way stronger rider than all of them, but I was just terrified of the descents. Got the bean.
Make the noise, Bean.
This is the noisiest cat ever, and then if you ask her to make some noise. So what else should we ask Erin about the crust? How wide have you thought about how wide you go on the tires? Will you go maximum wide, as wide as you can? Because you'll still be doing some like that's still mostly paved,
What are yours, Ben?
48 millimeters.
And so I have 42s on the Raleigh. If visually that means Pacer is 32s. So
You have 42s on there, really? I don't know, maybe somewhere between yours and Ben.
I think she'd do well too with like a mix of balls, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it depends on kind of what you want to ride the most of. If you're doing a lot of off-road type stuff, I mean, me personally, I would go a little wider, but if you're kind of doing a mix of, trails and off-road, rougher type stuff, you might want to go a little bit narrower.
I'll be really interested to see how much she rides the Pacer once this bike's built up, like what your breakdown ends up being like. Because I switch between my Trek 500, it's the Neo Retro bike, so it's a vintage steel frame but with 9-speed, 105 group set and drifters and everything, STI levers. So I find like if I know I'm not going to hit anything off-road, that's what I ride. But if I'm not sure, I ride the Raleigh, and I really do go back and forth almost evenly. But you almost always ride your gravel bike. You have that new All City, but
Yeah. Beer.
yeah, what's that one called?
The Zigzag.
Yeah, Ben got the Zigzag. It's beautiful, and that's like a pure road bike, right?
Yeah, I'll only ride that if I know I'm going out, like, you know, on roads, smoother roads around here, or, you know, like the Freedom Trail,
Yeah.
smooth,
Paved, mostly paved.
but
We didn't do a ton of riding our road bikes this summer at all. We really stuck with the gravel bikes. Well, a big part of that was the pandemic. We weren't going to normal places, especially when everything was when everything was closed. We were carrying all our own beer, riding to the woods, doing whatever. Got the bead.
Just like a squeaky toy.
What do you think? Do you think once you have this build up, riding is your main bike because you'll just be excited about it, but
Yeah.
do you think you'll still switch back to the Pacer and...
I was thinking about that a little earlier. Well, I was thinking about like the Pacer and how I have it kind of like, not inappropriately, but excessively loaded down for what it is. And like, okay, so once I get this built up, can I take most of that off of there? And then I was like, I should layers because I get cold, and so I'm hoping I could certainly slim that down, like maybe take the back rack off and just keep the basket, or take the basket off and just keep the, and maybe like get a frame bag. I don't know.
Yeah, someone just asked any plans for things like racks, fenders, cages, etc. There's lots of braze-ons, which there's tons on this bike, and I think definitely, I don't know if you know your plans, but definitely this would be your bike packing. Like the pig
No. Oh
she
yeah.
actually destroyed a hub. She had some Bontrager race lights on it, and we were going on Ohio to Erie day one. Her hub, what would you call that? Where the spokes attached, and it was putting way too much weight on pure road tires that were never really that good. Our road wheels that were never really that great of road wheels, anyways. Look
Yeah.
really cool, but.
What are you doing?
Have you thought about that? Have you thought about, would you, like how Ben goes front panniers now? And it might be worth reaching out to Crust too to ask them how this bike is balanced,
or
right?
the hashtag
Ski life.
I mean, I've had a lot of thoughts. I can't say that I basically like love every option. And I'm like, oh, that looks cool, or like, oh, that would be very helpful, or whatever. So I haven't finalized my strategy now.
I like the idea of stripping your Pacer down just to keep that as like a pure fast road bike. Like it's a small front basket.
She's going to sleep.
She's just passing out in your...
Yes, in this position. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I mean, I would strip down the Pacer just for the necessities, you know what I mean? So it's like a bike you...
Are you trying to eat my bicycle? Smoky.
Because Erin does like to go for some QOMs here and there. So to have something more aero and lightweight.
Yeah, who knows how fast I could go. You know,
It's like
focused on the speed.
yeah, like what I have my Schwinn for. It's like a bike that's just optimized to be a fast steel bike, not anything else, you know. See if we have any other questions. You got the your fireplace.
Oh, yeah.
Broadford said looks good, color matching kittens and fireplace. Then we got the TRP spires are amazing mechanical road STI calipers.
I think that's what you have on the rally.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They are TRPs, but I'm set up and I let them get like real worn out before I realized them. When we did ride that, when we rode Black Fork, my brakes were in like really bad shape, and so I was also more terrified than I needed to be. And once I had Otis, Ben's boss, adjust them, it was a totally different experience. You know? So.
Yeah, a big thing with those too is like a nicer compressionless brake cable housing. Definitely helps with any brakes, but
So So I think people should share in their comments like their bike building maintenance horror stories, so I can learn from them.
Oh, doing bike building wrong. We should have a whole episode with Otis about that, because the stuff that walks into the shop that he tells us about is unbelievable. And sometimes supposedly pro built too, right? You know, or some of the Trek stuff I know he's shown us that's come in.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that my bike maintenance horror story is how I didn't realize they needed a new tire. So when we rode Ohio to Erie, Ben had to change my tire. I think it was 3 times. I think it was 3 times based on like.
You flatted 3 times.
I flatted 3 times. Or did I flat twice and then when I hit the curb real hard?
Oh, Ohio to Erie. I was thinking Erie, New York.
Oh, no. Yeah, I should have gotten at least.
Yeah, so those flats, it wasn't worn out as much, but when we did the Erie Canal, Buffalo to Rochester, you flatted 4 times?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was 3 times, although the 3rd time in Ohio to Erie, more my fault because I was mad and I hit a curb real hard. And then, she loves that basket. What's her spot? Yeah, and then 4 times when we were riding from Buffalo to Rochester. I mean, I know about tires.
Yeah.
On cars. Somehow that didn't translate for me. But then I got a new tire and I didn't get another flat. Go figure.
Yeah. So bikepacking, the first time, this longer one, we ended up going in a shop and you changed your whole wheel out. They gave us a new, the guy gave her a wheel off one of his old personal bikes. And then we ended up buying a new tire in New York. So your bike's changed during.
Yes.
I don't know. Let's see.
But didn't you do something where you used the wrong cable? Like you used brake cable when you should have used.
Yeah, and I took the group set off of 1500. I used the wrong cable and I couldn't understand why the shifts weren't clean. And then I brought it in and Yonda was like, use the wrong housing, you idiot.
Yes. Yonda would call you an idiot, stories.
So, Ben from Columbus says he was a mechanic for a few race teams back in the day for many years. So he said where to begin, and then the monkey covering its face emoji. I didn't know that, Ben. Did you know that? How'd you pedal pusher?
No.
Oh, no wonder you always have good advice for me. I have no idea why you watch my stuff then. I don't know, should we wrap it up? It's been about an hour. Do you have any closing thoughts?
No, I mean, I guess if you want to see more content about me building a bike, you should hit subscribe. What am I supposed to
Hit that little bell notification.
You hit that little bell notification.
Do you think are we gonna make any videos about you building this? Is that gonna be something we'll put on the channel?
I think we should. Very uplifting. If not uplifting, then at least amusing.
What about more cat content?
Yeah, well, people really should see how funny they are when they actually play together. I don't think they did that on screen.
So
They bop each other on the head a lot.
So Andy says, all my worst bike maintenance experience started with being too impatient to wait until I had the proper tool for the job. Tim's video the other day with the channel locks on the bottom bracket brought back some painful memories.
Well, I haven't necessarily done that related to bikes, but I do that in house maintenance, and when I used to do some farming, I did that a lot.
Well, would you want to talk about what you did to your car?
Oh, I mean, we can. So I typically am not very good at getting my oil changed because as a tiny blonde white woman, I don't have a great experience with taking my car to places. Men typically treat me like I don't know anything, and so I just avoid the whole situation. So I decided I was going to change my own oil. I watched a lot of YouTube. Tim did it with me previously. I felt relatively confident, was still nervous. I had some challenges while I was doing it, and then finished, and I turned the car on, and it made all kinds of noises, and things blinked, and I called Tim, and he said, I don't know what happened. I don't know what to tell you. I Googled it some more, and eventually realized I drained the transmission fluid instead of the oil. So I not only had no transmission fluid, but I overfilled the oil. The following day, Tim went out and bought transmission fluid, but between the time that he went to do that and when he got here, I did a lot of Googling that led me to understand that I have a Subaru Impreza. They don't make that easy. There's almost literally no way that I have a home garage set up to do auto maintenance. You can't put transmission fluid in yourself. So I had to have the car towed. There was a chance that I destroyed the transmission. Yes, so it was a very valuable $600 or $700 learning experience. I have, however, successfully changed my wheel since then.
I did notice it's on. I didn't realize it's on camera, but Smokey is sleeping in the back.
Oh.
So
Yeah, Smokers loves that basket, and it's adorable.
But why don't we wrap it up? That is
Okay.
The frame is beautiful. I love it. I've watched. I'm a big fan of Pathless Pedal with Russ, and he has a Bombora. And when I first saw it, I thought, what a cool looking bike. Didn't know anything about. Started following him on social media. Crust, and then when you got interested in it, started paying a little more attention. And just seems like a pretty cool all around place company to support.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, I definitely, there are some bigger, smaller bicycle companies who are doing really good things, but I really, women representation in cycling is still a significant challenge, and representation of people of color cycling is a thing, and so I think it's really important to support that in the industry, and feel more seen. I highly encourage anybody to follow Crust on social media. Their personality in that, and then Cheech, who is the woman co-owner, she also designs cycling apparel for women that is stylish but multi-purpose. Her Instagram, her own Instagram for that, which is the real Casa Verde. I don't know. Can you link to that? Can you tag that? Something.
Down below.
It's fun. I mean, she's not a cyclist. She's just a normal woman who rides a bike she rides a bike and really enjoys it. And I really appreciate that.
Check out her YouTube series, Where the Fuck Am I Going?
Oh yeah, it's a great, that is also good. Yeah.
Alright, dudes. Well, I appreciate everyone joining, and I love when people chat. It's always fun. It's fun to try something new location, also with a cool bike.
New bike.
Fun to have friends involved.
I have one more thing to say.
Erin has one more thing to say.
I need to make a correction to previous statements that indicated that Albert was responsible for my bike tool birthday present. It was actually his wife Chrissy's idea. Hey, Chrissy.
Noted. Alright. We will see you guys live on Tuesday, and probably some other videos before then. Peace.